Right, well, here we are sitting in the Chrysler Crossfire. Now, before I do a lot of videos about this car and filming it, driving it, and pictures of it and everything, and just general problems that I'm probably going to have along the way, I wanted to just give my first impressions of the car. Right, it arrived yesterday afternoon. I had actually decided to buy it the day before, and so I bought it unseen, bought it in, it was in Yorkshire, and paid it for it, and they brought it down the next day, which was yesterday. Now, I'm not unfamiliar with the Crossfire. Over the years, I've read a lot about them. I've seen quite a lot of them, and I felt I was fairly familiar with the problems with them. The car, I'll talk about this individual car in a minute, but generally speaking, the cars have got a reputation that is not brilliant from what you read. Now, I take little notice of all this because journalists and people and pundits just follow the line, like most things in life. Somebody starts off, they don't like the Chrysler, and who is going to change that? The more people that say it, the less people that are going to have a different opinion. Why don't they like the Chrysler? Well, first of all, because it's an older Mercedes technology. It wasn't the fastest of cars for people who were into sports cars. It was American styling, which people didn't perhaps like, some people, and so on. It had a few faults, perhaps rusty wheel arches at the back and a few things, some flimsy trim in the front maybe, in the cabin and everything that was... But the car is built in Germany. Basically it's a Mercedes, frankly, with a rather, I think, a rather snazzy design. Actually a similar but better design than the Mercedes. But that's just a subjective thing. So somebody else can have a different opinion. Right, so what happened? The car arrived, and what was my first reaction? I sat in it, as we are now. Well, I thought the car was better than I had anticipated it to be. First of all, this actual car is in really good condition. As you can see, it's done 49,000 miles. It's 10 years old, and it has really no wear. The boot, I'll show that later and everything, but every aspect of it is just, there doesn't seem to be any wear in it. There's no scratches on this painted plastic dash. The steering wheel is unworn, it's unmarked. The only thing, of course, is somebody had stuck this on, and I'll have to deal with that later. I'm not too sure yet what I'm going to do with that to get it off, but that's the only thing. Apart from that, the car is standard and stock and almost looks as if it did when it came out of the factory or had been delivered. My first reaction was I was really pleased with the car. It's very comfortable inside. As soon as you sit in it, it feels like a much bigger car. It's hard to believe that there's really nothing behind you. The quality, it feels quality. I mean, I hear all these reports. People talk about the Crossfire, and they say, oh, it's plastic. These controls, come to this in a minute. The dash is actually soft plastic. I don't see what's wrong with that. The roof, which is the headlining, which is the same as, say, my Jaguar, except the Jag is coming away. This is still tight and nice. It's got a lovely ridge that runs down the middle that matches the ridge here, the ridge in the bonnet, the ridge on the roof. So this ridge effect runs through the car. It's a design cue. I think the cabin is a lovely place. Funnily enough, or not funny, it's just ironic, I suppose, the controls here this is the cruise control, and this is the multi-stop, does everything, and washers, wipers, and signals, and everything. That is exactly the same as my Mercedes, my green Mercedes estate, and the light set up here is exactly the same as my Mercedes as well. So everything that we got here is the same as the Mercedes. The key spot, so basically that whole unit, I guess they just took from Mercedes. I've heard criticism of the steering. I think the steering's great. It's tight, there's no play in it, and I think it steers lovely. I've heard criticism of the gear stick, that it's a bit sloppy. Well, I just don't understand that. Look, it's knobby, and it's very, very firm and very precise. Maybe somebody had an earlier model and they altered it. Maybe they had a bad model. I don't know. This is a 2007, so it's one of the latest ones made, the last ones made. I don't understand it. A lot of criticism of the dash and these controls being flimsy. Well, I don't find them to be so. I think they feel absolutely fine to me. I don't find anything wrong with that. The radio is it works, I think. Yeah, well, I mean, it's been working. Here we go. Actually, the radio is really nice. These buttons are rubbery, and this one does. You can have it as a manual tuning, so you can turn the stations like you used to on an older fashioned one. Haven't tried the CD player yet, but I assume it works. Yeah, I mean, actually the radio is quite good. It's kind of simple and works really well. Of course, it fits the car. It's built in. It's the same color. Storage space, well, obviously, you know, it is what it is. It's actually got more in it than my big Mercedes, because it's got a glove box, which that hasn't. It's got a little cubby hole here. And it's got a sort of a shelfy thing, little pouch there with hooks, and these at the bottom of the doors. And then, of course, it's got a boot. Anyway, I think the looking around the car, we'll do that a bit later. But frankly, and another thing, the doors. I mean, it's kind of soft plastic there. It's not hard. It's actually gives. But what I liked about the doors were they felt really solid. You know, it's a pillarless coupe. Now, I open the door. That feels really solid, and it shuts with a real clunk. There's no rattles, no flimsiness. It doesn't feel flimsy at all. They're very heavy. And you know, with these coupes, they sort of make a noise when they shut that doesn't sound that good, but this is not like that. So I'm lost. I don't understand. First of all, now my initial reaction is I do not understand all the criticism that's aimed at this car yet. This particular one is in excellent condition. I got it at I think a reasonably cheap price. I certainly didn't pay over the odds for it. I paid, I think, less than what it was worth. What's wrong with it? Well, as usual, I bought it from a car dealer, and I expected issues, and yeah, I got them. Nothing too serious. First of all, it came with it was delivered to me, two tires were low, so I pumped them up, and it was obvious that they had slow leaks. So I've taken it along to a tire place, and then we discovered that the two rear wheels, because the front wheels and the back wheels are different sizes, right? Because it's got 18 inches at the front and 19 inches at the back. But the two back tires are basically on the limit. So and one had a puncture. So I've ordered two new tires, which are being delivered this afternoon, and I'm going to take the car back and have them fitted. So I'll have two new tires on the back. The two on the front are okay, and the leak in the front, which was on that side, was due to it was leaking on the rim, so they took the tire off and reset it, and it's fine now. Funnily enough, those two tires in question, they had no dust cap, so I'm guessing that this car was sitting from what the records show, I think this car's been sitting on a forecourt, sitting around for about 6 months. And anyway, the tyres were flat, I guess, too. They pumped them up, didn't put the dust caps back. Just odd, isn't it, that the dust caps are missing from the two wheels that had slow leaks. Anyway, so that was one issue. Anyway, that's not so bad. I specifically talked to the dealer about what was working and what wasn't working, and he assured me everything was working, and I specifically asked about the aircon. He said yes. So of course, guess what, it's not working. So when I picked him up and talked to him about it, he said, well, the blowers were all working. He assumed it was working. Probably tested it in the winter or on a cold day. Anyway, that aside, I'll get that addressed. I'll take it along and get the aircon sorted out. Such is life. The rest of the car is actually excellent, and it's obviously been well kept. It is unmarked, and the boot and the engine bay are just show you that the car is one that has been well cared for, though there are, these issues with tires and a few things. Anyway, I'll just show you the engine bay and the boot. Right, so this is the boot, and here the only bit of mark I've actually made myself. It's absolutely spotless. No wear in it, no mess, no worn bits or anything. I know it's been valeted, but it really is. It is really clean. Most of the comes with a pump. Most of this looks fairly untouched. So that's a plus, I think. Right, well, I've just cut out the original audio from this part of the film because the buffeting was so bad. So I'm just filming the engine, trying to show the extent of the engine bay, even sort of down deep, and you can see that there's virtually no corrosion anywhere or dirt. Now, it's a bit odd because this dealer wasn't really a guy who presented it well, because the car was delivered to me with basically two flat tires, and the aircon wasn't working and various other things. Obviously the car had been valeted, but I don't believe that you could valet an engine and get it this clean. There's just no... This is a 10-year-old car that's done 50,000 miles, and the indication of this engine bay is that it's a car that's, in my view anyway, it's been well looked after and maintained. Probably garaged. You can see the condition of it is excellent. There's no rust or anything on these edges here. Look, everything is just perfect. Now, there is a few places in this car where there is some corrosion. It's odd. It's a little bit under there, a few bubbles underneath that arch, and then here on the wing that lifts up, there's a couple of bubbles there. I'm just pointing them out. Now, I'm going to get them dealt with, but it's very odd. And also this wheel arch, there's a few little bubbles under there. Now, they're common places for that car to rust, but apart from those three little places, there's nothing. I'll come out of the wind because I can't really film too much about the car outside because the wind is so bad. It comes up, it's buffeting. But I mean, generally, you can see that it's for a 10-year-old car. If I get the 2 new tires, if I just do that little bit of rust on that spoiler, which is a bit odd because it's on one little part of the spoiler, and when you lift the spoiler up, which you can do manually, I mean, underneath and all the edges, there's no rust at all. It's just absolutely spotless. But once you get this couple of little bits of rust done, I'd sort this out. You've virtually got what effectively is a new car. Now, how does it drive? Well, it drives incredible, I think, and I will take it out for a drive. I think it drives really well. And another thing that I find with the driving, which I'll go into when I do a bit of driving video soon, the torque on it is amazing. I find it's better to pull away in second, because first is just so low, and it pulls away really well in second, and basically it pulls from a very low speed, like 30 miles an hour, in fourth. It just pulls away as if you were in second. I'm quite amazed at the torque. It's very smooth, very quiet. There is one little bit of noise, which I haven't yet really established what it is, but it's possible it could be from suspension or bushes or something. I don't know. That's the only thing. But other than that, electric windows work really well. So once I got the aircon done, yeah, I'm very happy with it. So all the critics of this car, I don't understand what the criticism is. It's faster than the average car. The gear change is lovely. The windows work great. The seats are very comfortable. The quality of it feels really nice. I mean, it feels a really nice car to me. It feels a quality car. As a design, obviously, it's a sports car. It's impractical. It's not, you've got 2 seats and that's it. But you have got a decent boot in here. What else can I say? Anyway, that is my sort of first initial impression of the car. And we'll see what happens. Right, well, we've arrived at a tyre place here. And I've got 2 tyres going to be fitted to the back of this Crossfire. Feel a lot happier then, because the one that's on it at the moment, on the near side rear, is going down as we talk. So I'll be happy to have 2 brand new tyres on here. And then the front's been sorted, so we're all go then. And then we're left with just the aircon to have a look at. We'll go down to Anglian Vehicle Services, I think, in the morning, and see if they can sort the aircon out for me. Right, so we're just waiting for the guy to come and tell me that the tyres are ready to be fitted. Oh yeah. Locking wheel nut.
Who makes these? Oh, Chrysler.
Chrysler, yeah. That's a choice of 2. One of them works, one doesn't. We found out this morning. So what make are these tyres?
Jim Yu, I think, aren't they?
Well, things are changing here in the kennel development. They've taken a section out here, this section of wall and the ceiling, and they're cutting through the floor here. So along this line, along this line here, that's where the party wall's going to be between the different properties. So there'll be footings going in here, and there'll be a wall going all the way up, and then this side over here will be a separate house. This area will be a bathroom here, and there'll be a bathroom there with a WC in front, separate WC. There'll be another one in the bathroom. There'll be a glass panel that goes all the way up and a little open balustrade here. A study, stairwell here, and you'll open this door. This will be a study here, and then you'll open this door and you'll go into a lounge and kitchen, then off into a utility room and a garage. So it looks a real mess now, but over the next few months we should be able to see some progress, and I hope that I'll be able to just give you some ideas of how this is going along. Right, so let's have a look. We're going to take the Volvo. It's a bit bigger than the Crossfire, and we're going to drive down our new road. Right, so there's the new road, and what we've done so far is, on top of this the scraping coat, we've got hardcore underneath. We've got the scraping, then we've got this stone. Now this is the first layer, and it's not complete yet. This has been rolled, and then we're going to put another layer on top of that tomorrow, and that'll be the finished effect. I don't know what colour this road will actually end up when it's been rained on for a year or two or whatever. But I haven't got my seatbelt on, that's why it's dinging. Right, so as we're driving this Volvo down to the other end of this little road here that I've put in, I just really, actually I'm going to stop, because this is a Volvo, and it was a car that is of the same era really than as the Crossfire. So this is a 2005, I think this car is. It's quite old really, I guess, though it feels very modern really. But it's the same era as the Crossfire, and this is, you know, high-class car, very expensive when it was new. But the finish on this, the plastics, are not as good as that Crossfire. This is not soft plastic, this is just hard. This, I mean, it doesn't feel, this is all phony. It's not real wood, I mean, it's just plastic, or quite cheap really. The door panels are quite hard, and the door actually feels, well, it doesn't feel any better, and it certainly feels a bit tattier. I don't know if that's the right word to describe it, than that Crossfire. Now, I'm not sort of, you know, trying to push this Crossfire or anything, but when I, you know, get all this criticism about the Crossfire, I really don't understand it. The controls on this Volvo, I don't think are any better. They don't feel any much higher quality. In fact, the stalk on this thing, which is fine, but it certainly doesn't feel any different to the Crossfire. I mean, the radio doesn't work on this anymore, and the Crossfire still does. It's got a nicer radio on it. I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe someone will explain to me. Right, well, it's a lovely morning now. Another beautiful day, I hope. And I'm going to probably take this out for a drive today. Birds are singing. So, this is the car that causes so much aggro in terms of people liking it and not liking it. I can't get over it. I love it. I love the every design aspect of it. I think it's just beautifully designed. Such a beautiful design. And the little thought, the big thoughts that went into it on detail. That ridge that runs nicely from the Chrysler badge down the center and over the roof is echoed on the dash and on the headlining. And also some of the spearhead, tear drop shaped design cues, they're all over it as well. I think the back is a beautiful design. It's a bit like the Stingray actually of the early 60s. But as I say, I'm just repeating myself a little bit here, that I thought that when I saw it in real life that it would be a bit tacky when you went and touched it and opened the doors and everything, but actually it isn't. This is what gets me. It's very solid. Very solid indeed. Everything about it. I mean, it has no less quality about it, feel, than that Volvo, and, you know, everyone raves about that. Well, people consider it to be a good solid car. And this is the problem that I keep saying. It's all to do with image. Volvos are solid, and that's become an urban myth. Well, they're good, but I don't know what's the difference. Certainly the quality of the interior plastics and everything is it's better in that than in my XC90. And this one is not as solid as that XC90 in terms of the door shuts and everything. I don't know if this one's locked. Open here. Yeah, it's locked. I mean, even that feels tinnier than this. This feels much more quality. I mean, it's got all the detail. Like, it's got the little rubber inserts everywhere. You know, when you've got one item against another, there's a little rubber insert. I know I'm going on about it because I just bought it, but and I'm not going on about it because I just bought it in terms of how good it is. I was not expecting the car to be this good, and it's absolutely lovely to drive. So I think we'll take it out for a drive in a few hours and see how it goes. Well, the road here is absolutely lovely. This is the first surface that we've rolled of the stone, and now there'll be a second layer of stone to go down, which will level it all out and you know, cover all the underneath surface. I'm going to buy myself, I think, one of these little graders that they use in menages and things too. They pull them behind a little tractor or something, and it just sort of, it's like chains and bars, and they just level out the surface. So I'm going to get myself one of those and use it behind the ATV, I think, and just level the surface out. And that's useful, I think, when people keep driving up and down this road and the car, and we'll get, you know, to some ridges because the cars are driving in the same place all the time, so it'll level the stone out. Right, now I'm going to take my dog for a walk. Right, another thing that I've been working on, of course, is the Volvo. And here we have the broken piece that this is the cover for the light cleaner washer. So, where does this go? It goes here. The problem is But those little holes there got to be fit. There's two little lugs here, and I'm not too certain how all this works. You kind of get one chance at this. There's such a delicate piece of kit there to fix. I'm not too certain how that's going to work to get it on yet. I haven't really put my mind to thinking about that. I might see if there's any videos on YouTube and see if anyone else has fitted one. Anyway, that's a job that I've got to do in the next few days, I think. Well, here's another interesting little thing. I just fitted a new wiper. It doesn't lift out very far, this Mercedes one. So this great big wiper here, Mercedes, this piece here, just fitted that, a new one, because the old one had a broken or bent bit of rubber. So that's the new one. But what surprised me, let's have a look here. Some tubes to take down to the recycling. Right, what surprised me was this. I bought two of them at the same time. So this is the one that I'm going to keep for the future. They're quite a comprehensive little, well, they're not little, this is the point. Look how tall that is. That is the size of that arm. And it's quite a complex piece of kit. I mean, the rubber and all this little springing and what have you, and the hinges on it. And what would you pay for one of these? You'd expect 30, 40, 50 pound maybe, Mercedes. They were £9 each. £9. So I bought two. I think the reason is that I think Mercedes do a sort of discount now on what they call heritage cars or classic cars, and this W124 is a sort of heritage car to them, I guess, now. But you know, I'm not complaining that it's cheap, but I just am quite surprised and pleasantly surprised that you know, Mercedes is not ripping people off on this part for the car. And it's an essential part, obviously, because a slight bit of damage to the rubber and you have to replace the whole thing. You know, it's not like the days when you just put in a new piece of rubber and slid it along, which is what I used to do on my Hillman Imp and everything, cars like that. But no, it's a whole complete unit. And it's got to be manufactured, it's got to be packaged, it's got to be stored, moved around the world or what have you. Yeah, that's not bad. So that's quite a good result, I think. So the Mercedes has got a new wiper, and that's okay. The Aventime, I had a word with the electrician Andy yesterday, and because I'm anxious that he'd come along, and he hasn't been yet, to have a look at this satellite navigation, because the screen has suddenly stopped working. And you know, my guessing is that there's a break in the cable. Obviously, it could be a fuse or something, but I think this hood keep lifting up and down. Maybe there's a cable that keeps moving up and it's broken. I don't know that, but I need an electrician to work this one out. But I'm a bit annoyed because it was working fine, and you know, this car is just absolutely great, and I want to keep it in good condition, and especially I've just bought some more parts for it, the back lights and everything, and I do like this car, and now that warm weather is coming, I'm hoping to use it a bit more. Well, I cleaned the Jag up, and already it's, you know, covered in dust again. This comes off the fields. Well, also I suppose we've got dust now from the construction that we've got here, so there's not a lot I can do about it. It's just keep cleaning them seems a bit pointless when I'm not using them that much. So this car is just sitting here at the moment. It's been out a couple of times, and I think the next step is I'm going to use it the next time I want to going on a fairly long journey, something about 20 or 30 miles even. So give it a bit of a run. But this car, the Dodge, that's got to really have some work on it. Well, there's no work to do, but we were going to actually try and flush the radiator out, but I've got to give it a really good clean and spruce up because it's going on the London to Brighton classic car run in about 3 or 4 weeks. So I need to really get this out and cleaned. I cleaned it not long ago, and the state of it is just, again, it's just all the mess that's in this atmosphere around here, and it just settles on the car. Also, this is waiting for Andy to install that switch, which is the blower switch, which I bought the new old stock from America. That's still got to be done. And then I get the car prepared for the weekend away, going down to Brighton. So this is the small digger that we've now hired. We had the bigger one. So this is a small one that we've got, and we've been using this one because the big one was too harsh on that road. So we needed something a bit lighter. A couple of dumpsters here. Roller, that's the roller that we've been using. That dumpster we've been using. So we're hiring 3 bits of plant at the moment. The roller is fantastic. It looks like it must be one of the Ferraris of rollers, I would think. It's got an impressive sort of front and back to it. All these lights here and everything. Very modern looking. Lights in the front. I haven't actually driven one of these yet. I just leave Tom to do it. But I'll stick with the cars, I think. Well, it's early in the morning here, and just talk about the Volvo again. That's the headlight washer, and that is the old one. You can see probably one of the little round holes is broken, so that is obviously no good. So we'll put that one down there for a second. Now this is the new one here, just a minute. That's the new one with 2 holes. Now I bought this one, and then they have to paint it. They paint it to match the colour of your car, and the problem is that in there there's a little knob there, a little protruding bit on each end, and that goes in the holes. I assume that what happens is that when it washes, that gets pushed out, and then the water jets come up here, and they bounce against this and back onto the light. But the problem is fitting that without breaking anything. So I've gone the chicken's route. I phoned Volvo up and I booked it in. They'll do it while I wait. £28 including VAT. So frankly, considering this cost me £69 and I could easily break it, and I'm really not sure the technique of how to get it on, I'm going to pay the £28. So I'm going to drive to Volvo next Friday, and hopefully then that will be working. And actually it's interesting because if you have these fitted on a car now, according to the MOT, the testing, they have to work. So, whether you like it or not, you've got to have them working. So that's that. Right, and now back to the Mercedes. We've got so many builders working here. Last week sometimes there were 5 at one day, and I've kept all my cars away. But even so, somehow somebody's managed to hit my car. I'm not too happy, to say the least. It may be small. That's actually gouged into the metal. there again, somebody hit the Volvo. That's why that cover is broken. I know who did that, and I also know who did this. I'm not going to say anything. You know, all these builders are here. But what I've done is I've done something now to keep all my cars separate from the builder. So that means that that area there's got to be dealt with. Oh dear, just another job that I didn't really need. So there's no builders working here today. It's the weekend, but when they are, that orange piece is slung across here at the moment. All my cars I'm keeping on that side, because the building work is on the other side. It's on this side, and it's getting on quite well now, except it's kind of destructive. Better have a look inside. They've taken away part of the front of the building at the top, so the roof's gone, and the gable end. This is very interesting in here. Now, when I worked on the building in the 60s, we did all this by hand, and now nobody apparently does anything by hand. I mean, they bring a digger into the building and a dumper. So here's the digger, and they're digging a great big hole here. This is for the goes up. This is for the party wall. So this there will be a big wall here, and then that will divide that property from this property. Now, when I worked on the building, we dug all this by hand. Mad. But here they had to get a digger in the building, and a dumper. I think that's even more amazing, that they drive that little dumper in to take the rubble out. We'd have done it by wheelbarrows. Right, well, we'll try and find the key, and we'll start the Crossfire up. Okay. Right, well, I'm in third at the moment, and the car is very, very quiet. To me, it drives beautifully. It feels very solid, very comfortable. It feels like a big car inside, actually. Right, I'm in fourth. It's a 6-speed gearbox, obviously. I'm in fourth, so I'm slowing right down now to 20 miles an hour, and we're coming up to a little hill, a small hill. Right, that's accelerating. That's not hard, that's only touching the throttle. Well, that just pulls away in fourth, so the torque is just, I think, amazing. I mean, this car is smooth, and you can drive it around in the town down to 20 miles an hour or even less, as I am now, in fourth, and it just actually pulls away like mad. It's like, I've already learned that first gear is far too low, so I pull away in second from a halt. So I'm in second now. The clutch is very high. I'm not used to that. It's different to my other cars. Most of them tend to be quite low down. This one's high up. You just have to get used to it. So, I'm finding that I kind of pull away in second, go straight into fourth. Actually, I'm going to fifth now. So I'm doing 30 miles an hour in fifth, and that pulls away, well, just pulls like mad. some custom exhaust on it, which is excellent. It sounds really nice, very mellow. I like the low windows actually, and the sort of hot rod effect, I suppose, the very low side windows. It's not to everyone's taste, obviously, but I really I really like it. So I'm in third. Well, you don't change down. I mean, that just pulls like a train now. So now into fourth. So I'm in sixth gear now, and that's actually driving all right. And I'm doing 30. So I find the driving experience, I suppose a lot of people, or most people maybe even, would call it sort of GT style, you know. It's not sporting. Sporting, I guess, is revving in every gear. I prefer this, so this is really good. I can drive this car around almost like an automatic, and it's just so smooth and just comfortable. I just love it. I really do. I love it more than I thought I would, so I'm really pleased. Right, well there we have it. I'm probably talking too much. The car's still running at the moment. I'm probably talking too much about this car, but obviously I just bought it a few days ago. My impressions of it are, again, after now having it for what, 5 days, it's better than I had thought it would be. The looks of it, I love. The quality of the materials I find quite good, and certainly to the same standard of anything that I own. They're not quite as good, but almost getting that way towards the Jag. The feel of the material, of the controls, the steering, the stalks and everything, I find really good. The console controls are, well, okay, they're not the best, but they're certainly good. And the handling, I haven't really handled it or driven it like a sports car, so I'm not going to comment on that, but for the sort of driving that I'm doing, it's tremendous. Got a nice exhaust here. I just love the styling cues, and it's strange because some people just don't like it, and I'm amazed, really amazed at that. So what can I say? You either love it or you hate it. I love it. End of story there. It's certainly different to most of the other cars that I've got. Well, all of them really. Mine tend to be either quirky French cars or saloon cars, really. You know, more family vehicles or SUVs. So, if I had it as an everyday car, everyday driver, I'd be pleased, apart from the fact it's obviously not practical, though the boot isn't too bad. For shopping, that's about all. But I'd certainly enjoy driving it every day. When you get in it, you just feel like, you feel at home in it. Everything just seems to be in the right place. Maybe it's because of the Mercedes stalks, that they're the same as my other car. Maybe I haven't driven enough cars, eh? But, so there we go. That's the Crossfire.